Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm a sophomore at Brown. I'm a guitarist, a songwriter, a bassist, and I like to say that the central theme of my work is queer love and cool shoes. So I'll start off by saying that both my parents are musicians. So music was always like around and like presented to me like very much as a thing that I could do. I picked up a guitar when I think I was like 9. I went to a rock and roll camp for girls and I was like, I'm a guitarist. This is my truth. And I got there like ready to play guitar and nobody played bass and they like needed someone to play bass in the final performance. And I was like, I mean, I guess I could do it. And then I picked up the bass and I was like, this is sick. I'm in a band. The band actually started when I was 9. That was when I played my first show. The band's called Calliope Jones. I play bass. We're a trio, like a rock trio. And that's where my musical energy has been for the most part ever since then, which I think is fun. It's weird because I feel like Calliope Jones is my entire journey in a lot of ways. Like I've been doing it since I was 9, so it's like my entire teenage life was this band. But I think the biggest impact that it's had on me is like kind of impacting the way I write music for other people, because I think when you're writing music for a band, I find myself spending a lot of energy like making sure it fits the vibe and like thinking about like our audience and thinking about like both the people who are going to be playing it with me and the people who are going to be taking it in. I don't know. I really like that I have like community mindset when it comes to songwriting. I'm from Northampton, Massachusetts, which is called Lesbianville, USA. So I grew up in like a queer town. I came out at a really young age, and the way I processed it was songwriting. So when I write songs about myself as a queer person and like being in love and what that means, I'm also thinking about like all the like other like 13-year-old queer girls who might be like, I don't know what's happening. Like we've had people come up to us after shows and be like I listened to the song to psych myself up before like coming out to my parents, or like this is the first time I've like had a breakup song that's like about me. So the fact that it's like people who I kind of know and I'm in community with, getting to be like, your song speaks to me and speaks to my identity is really, really exciting. So basically, you can like Google the story if you want to, but we played at this battle of the bands. We got third place. We were like, woo, third place, this is so exciting. And then looked at our like feedback sheet, and like all of the feedback was like, use your sexuality, like pull the audience in and like be sexual. We were 14. I was like, hello, like I'm a child. And they were also like, love that you're a girl group, like girls rule. And it was like patronizing and like kind of gross. And we went up to them and we were like, what is this? And we were like, well, you didn't say that to like those guys over there. Like you weren't telling them to use their sexuality. Like you weren't telling them they were like so cool for being a group of guys, which I admit would be weird. And they were like, oh, it's completely different. Like you guys are just totally different. They were like reinforcing this thing, which I think is like rampant all over the music industry, of like women getting treated differently from men. And like it was definitely whack to encounter that like at 14. And we wrote this whole post. It got picked up by Mass Live. It got picked up by 17 and MTV, and it like ended up everywhere. I don't know. I spent like about 6 months of like the beginning of high school, like being in the public eye and trying to be like a feminist icon. And I was like a child. Yeah, I don't know. I think I spend a lot of time reflecting on the fact that like a couple of 14-year-old girls were all of a sudden supposed to be spokespeople for feminism. Okay, first of all, I love women in music. This is something, so my dad's like big into classic rock. Spent a lot of my childhood like trying to educate me on like real music. You know, it was like mostly men for the most part. We just connect like really closely over like a lot of the like women who were trailblazers in that time. So like we like are obsessed with Carole King together. We're like obsessed with like Tina Weymouth together. We've spent a lot of time kind of like looking for these women who were like bodying the music industry in like the 60s and 70s, and people weren't paying enough attention to them, in my opinion. I spend a lot of time going and seeing like local bands from where I'm from, and their song lyrics always have like little like sprinkles of like Western Massachusetts. Like they'll throw in little jokes for like people who are from the same town. That is like one of my favorite feelings, is like being at a show and hearing a lyric about like a street or like a place or like a, you know, like a person, and you're like, oh my God, I walked down that street earlier today, or like, oh, that's the person who like works at the radio station. I think like my goal is to be able to do that, but like kind of with like emotional like emotions. So if you can be at a show and if I can like sing something or play something and you can be in the audience and be like, I felt that earlier today with that exact image. So yeah, I think my goal is to like be as vulnerable and honest about myself as possible, because likely there are other people who are like looking for that vulnerability and honesty. And if they can identify with it, I just think that's like the most exciting feeling in the world.